What is going on, guys? Money Webby here, back again on Thursday. We had a 5-game slate here tonight. A lot of different good hitting options here tonight in the slate, I would say. But the pitching is a little bit tough to decipher between. But I got it broken down for you with my money six of my favorite plays. So before we get going, if you could drop a like in the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let's try to get over 70 likes on this one. Yesterday was a prime example why it's definitely helpful to follow me on Twitter. I mentioned in the video with James Paxton, I did prefer Chris Sale over him. It's just that I thought that game was going to get delayed, but it turned out that the weather cleared up. So I did tweet out that I pivoted from James Paxton to Chris Sale. Also mentioned how the weather in St. Louis wasn't looking that good, so I would only play Matt Carpenter in GPP. The game didn't end up playing. My pivot, though, of course, Derek Fisher literally did nothing, had like 4 groundouts, had 0 draft game points. So it was pretty much the same thing as playing Matt Carpenter. But it definitely, if you didn't pivot to him, maybe you pivoted off him, hopefully with the weather concerns in that game. So yeah, I mean, with situations like that, it's definitely helpful, like I said, to be following me on Twitter at MoneyWebby. Even though the plays didn't do that great, I mean, Chris Sale was dominant, so you really needed to have Chris Sale in your lineup yesterday. Darvish was pitching really well, but classic Darvish just fell apart in the 6th inning, and the bullpen couldn't help him out there. The bullpen always screws me over, it seems like, whenever my starting pitcher gets pulled out. But that's life, I guess. OHTANI hit a home run for us, and Bregman, of course, he got pinch hit for it on his 4th at bat. So some tough luck. But also some really good stuff from Chris Sale. You had to play him, so hopefully you did. So let's get right into it, though. First guy up, I really struggled between Patrick Corbin and Lucchesi. Originally, I was thinking Patrick Corbin, but with Tatis back in the lineup here tonight, he's a really good upgrade for San Diego, especially against the lefties. They have a lot of good righties to attack Corbin here, like Machado, Reyes, even Will Myers can be solid here and there, Hunter Renfroe, Tatis, so there's a lot of different guys that really could get after him, and Corbin is a very volatile pitcher, so I could see him really getting blown up in this spot, but I also could see him really getting a ton of strikeouts. The San Diego lineup is very tough to predict, but I think he's a little bit too unsafe for me, so I'm going to go with Lucchesi, and it gives us a little bit more wiggle room with the batters, and Lucchesi's been pitching very well over the last 3 starts against Miami, 24, 28 against Toronto, and 20 against Pittsburgh. In Washington, it's not a good spot for him, I would say. They've been hitting very well against lefties, but I feel like they're due for some regression against lefties. I mean, they have guys like Rendon hitting very well, even Soto's hitting very well against lefties. I feel like they're just due for a little bit of regression. Hopefully that happens here tonight. Against Lucchesi. Lucchesi is a 25% K rate on the season. He's been very good at home. If you look at the splits, 19.5 compared to 11.5 on the road. Batting average way down. His command has been a lot better at home as well. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there, and hopefully he can just get in a groove and shut down Washington. I feel like he's just a safer option, less room for him to really struggle compared to a guy like Patrick Corbin, who went for -8 last start. He's been very up and down, 11, 14. This doesn't have that same floor, I would say, as Lucchesi. At least I think so in that spot. And for my second guy, I'm going to go with Jose Barrios. Jose Barrios had a really good start against Cleveland earlier this season. I'm not sure if it's on this game log. No, it's not. But at the beginning of the season, had 1 start, 7.2 innings, 10 Ks, and 39 draft game points. That was probably without Lindor. Obviously, that's a big factor. But I think Cleveland, their lineup just hasn't been that great this year. They've been really struggling to produce consistent runs throughout the whole entire year. Barrios, some solid BVP against him, 207 average and 107 plate appearances. And we have some good pitching conditions. There's going to be wind blowing in from center field. So I think he can just kind of settle into a little groove here, not worry about giving up the extra power numbers that he can against some lineups, as they don't really have that same pop in their lineup, I would say, as they typically do. I think Barrios can have a solid outing here, get a good amount of Ks, and let's give us around 25 drafting points, hopefully, if he gets the win. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my second guy. So that's 3,900 man in per player. I believe if you go with Corbin, it's 3,750. So like I said, a lot less wiggle room with the batters. And for my first guy, I'm going to go with Luke Voit. Absolutely amazing spot. Probably the worst pitching numbers I've ever seen for a pitcher in Edwin Jackson so far, especially against right-handed batters. He's led up 7.3 home runs per 9 to righties and a 6.18 WOBA to them. And Luke Voigt, he's had a reverse splits as well, he's hitting very well against righties, a 246 ISO against them. And it's a good ballpark. Can definitely go deep here in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there. Not much to it. Just an amazing spot for him. But if he goes for 0 DraftKings points, that's his baseball. I mean, everything kind of points to Luke Voigt having a good night. For my second guy, I'm going to go with Chris Davis at 3,900. He's been down a little bit recently. Hasn't hit a home run in the last, 8 games or so. So he's definitely due. And this is a spot against Tower Skaggs where he's been very comfortable against him in the past. 7 for 18, 2 doubles, and 4 home runs against him. And Tower Skaggs is a pitcher who's very good at limiting lefty batters. Pretty good at getting the Ks against righties, but he does allow a good amount of power and pop to righties when they connect with the pitches. And I mean, Chris Davis, only 2 strikeouts and 18 plate appearances, like I said. So he sees the ball very well against them. And I think he can go deep here in the spot. There is some solid hitting conditions blowing to left field, some wind blowing to left field. And with all the righties in this lineup, I could see Tower Skaggs kind of struggling. And Chris Davis in this A's lineup putting up a good amount of runs. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my second guy. Then I'm going to go with OHTANI again. I'm just seeing the ball very well recently. Went deep for us yesterday, 27 DraftKings points. And in this game, I don't know if he necessarily has to go deep to return value. Like I've been mentioning with all the times I've been recommending OHTANI, he does have stolen base ability, even though he hasn't shown it so far this year. And Mike Fiers, it's definitely a perfect spot for him to get his first stolen base. He's a guy that gets stolen on a lot, and he does just give up a lot of home runs as well. So it's a power and speed combo spot for OHTANI. 3,900, still too cheap. And when you're behind Mike Trout in the lineup, it's always a big boost for the hitter, as the pitcher's going to pitch around Mike Trout a little bit more, and then you can't really pitch around OHTANI as well because you already have 1 or 2 guys probably at the base ahead of him. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my third guy. I'm going to go with DESHIELDS here at 4,000. Not crazy power upside, but he does have a great shot at getting stolen base against anyone. David Hess, absolutely terrible against right-handed batters, allowing a 422 WOBA to them and 4.2 home runs per 9 as well. Some great hitting conditions here in Texas. I believe it's like 92 degrees, like temperature-wise it's supposed to be. And like I said, just can get a single or 2 against Hess, possibly even go deep. And if he gets on first base, he's a great shot at getting a stolen base as well. I believe he has 9 stolen bases in 35 games. So this is a guy that can steal at will against anyone. So I'm going to go ahead and lock him in there as my final guy. So really good upside across the board for the hitters. Chris Davis, really good home run ability. Voigt, really good home run ability. OHTANI, home run ability and stolen base ability. And DESHIELDS, really good stolen base ability. And Hess, I mean, you could allow a home run to them as well. You never know. DESHIELDS wasn't that 2 spot yesterday, so really good upside for scoring. So I hope you enjoyed it. Drop a like if you did. 70+ likes would be appreciated. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon after you get alerted every time I upload. And like I said before, definitely follow me on Twitter at MoneyWebby so you don't miss out on any updates on the plays if anything changes with the weather. The weather looks very clear for this slate, but just in the future, if things change, I try to update them on Twitter as I upload these videos around 11 a.m. and like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., noon time, and things change a lot in 7 hours with weather and also with some guys possibly being moved around in the lineup and stuff. So hope you enjoyed it, though. Good luck here tonight, and we'll see you back here again next time.